Okay, you want to solve the absolute value of 3x minus 2 is equal to 10. To get rid of that absolute value sign, you're going to have to think about what the definition of absolute value is. And absolute value just means how far away something is from 0. So if this expression, 3x minus 2, is 10 away from 0, that means it either is 10 or it could be negative 10. Both of those numbers are 10 away from 0. So either 3x minus 2 is 10 or 3x minus 2 is negative 10, because either way, it will have an absolute value of 10. And then you just solve for x. So 3x is equal to 12, which means that x is 4, or 3x is equal to negative 8, which means that x is negative 8/3. Here you have x plus 3 over x minus 1 is greater than or equal to 2, and so you have to somehow deal with this greater than situation. And the only way that you can do that, remember, is if you have something that is greater than 0 or less than 0, because then you can talk about the sign of the thing. If it's greater than 0, it's positive. If it's less than 0, it's negative. So right now we have a 2. We don't have a 0. So we need to subtract 2 on both sides to start off to even think about what's going on here. So x plus 3 over x minus 1 minus 2 is greater than or equal to 0. So now we have a situation where we're talking about positive and negative. So we got to get a common denominator. So we'll multiply by x minus 1 over x minus 1 with that 2. So we'll have x plus 3 minus 2 times x minus 1 all over x minus 1. So that's x plus 3 minus 2x plus 2 all over x minus 1. So that is negative x plus 5 over x minus 1. And that is supposed to be greater than or equal to 0. So we just need to figure out, when is this equal to 0 and when is it greater than 0? So first of all, we want to make sure that we remember that x can never be 1, because that's the denominator that would make the denominator 0. So we don't want that. So we have negative x plus 5 over x minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. So when does that happen? All right, when is it positive or 0? Well, if you have a fraction, you know that if the numerator is positive and the denominator is positive, that's going to be positive, so it'll be greater than 0. If the numerator is negative and the denominator is negative, that will also be greater than 0. So what I'm going to do is just look at those two situations. When are the numerator and denominator both positive? And when are they both negative? Those are the places, those x values are the ones that will make this a true statement. So I'm going to look at negative x plus 5 is greater than or equal to 0, and x minus 1, I would say greater than or equal to 0, but it can't equal 0, so I'll just say greater than 0. So this is the first case. This is the first situation I'm going to look at, positive over a positive. And so this, the negative x plus 5, will be positive when negative x is greater than or equal to negative 5, and that is when x is less than or equal to positive 5. When you multiply by negative 1, you have to flip the sign. And then also we want it to be true that x is greater than 1. So we have to look at only the numbers that satisfy both of these things, because if both of these things are true, you will have a positive numerator and a positive denominator. So x is less than or equal to 5 and greater than 1. So that is between 1, not including 1, and 5, including 5. So that's one set of x values that will make the fraction positive, greater than or equal to 0. The other possibilities are when the numerator and denominator are both negative. So this could be less than or equal to 0, and this could be less than 0. So let's see when that happens. That would be negative x is less than or equal to negative 5, which would be x is greater than or equal to 5. and x minus 1 less than 0 would be x is less than 1. So we want both of these things to be true. We want x to be greater than or equal to 5 and less than 1. That is not possible. That can never happen. So the only values that will make this fraction greater than or equal to 0 would be the values between 1 and 5, including 5.